so getting in and out of bed. So most times when people go to get into bed, they'll either do something like this, where it's here, and then kind of crunch back, or you come in this way, and then it's just kind of here, and you'll see, if you're here, we talked about loading here. We get in, when we go crunch backwards, you're at like 220 load through your low back. You're here, and then when you go to get out of bed, it's the same thing, like, and then there you're just getting a ton of load. You're shearing, you're twisting as you come up. So what we do instead, okay, we're going to get into sitting position. Usually the beds are pretty high, which helps us because that removes load when you're going to get into the bed. But we get into the sitting position, okay, and then from there we get into, basically we're just going to fall right onto our sides. Now the thing is, you don't want to fall onto your side and transition. That's where we get into trouble. People try and they're like, oh, I'm doing a good job with it, and then we look at it and they're like, I go right onto my side, and they just go like this. And then you get really close into that position we're already trying to get you to avoid. So we want to get straight onto our side, like this, boom, right there. And then you're curled up into a low ball like this, okay? If you don't like sleeping in this position, that's perfectly fine. That's just how we're going to get into the bed. So we're curled up, nice and tight here, okay? And then when you go to get out of bed, we're going to get you to this position first, and we'll show you how to do that in a second. But you're going to start here, you're nice and curled up. If you get too far down, that creates too much extension and side bend. We get here, and then we have this top arm right here, I guess bottom arm at 90 degrees. We use this elbow and this fist to just right out of bed. And again, we're straight onto our side. So we're here, right onto our side, and then we go to get out of bed. It's the same thing. We use the muscles in our arms. We go straight up like that. If you have a side bending sensitivity, if I've told you have a side bending sensitivity, if you go to get into bed, typically you're going to side bend towards that side if you get down. So if you have a sensitivity bending to the left, we don't want to get into bed on the side, okay? So you're just going to have to sleep on the other side. We're not in the business of breaking up marriages, and I know a lot of people can be territorial about the side of the bed that they sleep on, but I'm sure your spouse will understand. They want you to get out of pain too, and a couple weeks of switching might be the medicine that you need that can go a really long way. So you want to, if you have a side bend sensitivity, you want to make sure you're not getting in onto that side where you're sensitive to bending to, okay? So then let's get into scooting. So say you've already gotten into bed, okay? So we're here under our sides. Now, when people tend to roll over, what they typically do is turn, okay, and then scooch and lift, or they turn, they get their body up like this, you get super loaded and twisted at the same time, a lot of shearing there, a lot of load, and then you kind of roll like this. What we want to do is we want to try to sync it all up together, okay? So we think about a log roll. A log roll is everything goes together. So if we're sleeping in this position and we want to get onto our left side, we don't need to lift up or scooch at all or lift. It's just going to be together. All together moves onto that side. And then the same thing if we go from this position onto our back, okay? You can even use your hands if you want, but everything just goes together. It also helps to push your head into the pillow. If you push your head down, it makes it really a lot easier to keep the rest of your body down with it. And then you just roll from there to there. The other thing you can do if you're on your back, you can have this leg down, and then you can actually use the momentum from your top leg to get over there. So if you're here, you can use that leg to just boom, pull you over, and it's so much easier. The last thing is, if you have a side bend sensitivity, and you're on your back and you're trying to move over onto your side or scoot, what we don't want to do is basically, a lot of times if you try to roll, you'll start bending towards that side that you're sensitive to. So all we want to do is just basically remove we're gonna just remove a little bit of friction from the bed by doing a little pelvic tilt, just gapping that so that you can move your butt over. Or you can do the same thing if I have more room on this side, create a little friction, remove the friction by just, you don't have to do a full bridge, just squeeze your butt a little bit to lift, and then you can move your upper body over. But I like moving the lower body better. It's a little bit less load sensitive. So we're here, we move, and then we can do our roll, and that'll keep you from side bending into that side. So you change all these scooching techniques, then you combine that with getting in and out of bed like this, and before you know it, look who's got a much better morning.